All right, good morning, everybody. I'm joined here today by Chief of Detectives Antoinette Ursitti, Deputy Chief of Detectives Kevin Bruno, members of the Area 2 Detective Division, Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox, and 6th Ward Alderman William Hall. Today, we're here announcing murder charges against a 16-year-old offender who shot and killed 3 people, including a 14-year-old and 2 adults, on February 25th, 2024, in the 8000 block of South Vincennes. He also shot and injured a 16-year-old male. This juvenile offender is being charged as an adult. These members of the Area 2 Detective Division, standing here, conducted this investigation over the past month. During the course of the investigation, they pursued justice and accountability. With that, I would also like to mention our fugitive apprehension team, who worked really hard with the Detective Division to bring this young man into custody. This 16-year-old offender has been charged with 3 felony counts of first-degree murder, 1 felony count of attempt first-degree murder. During this senseless shooting, the offender took the lives of 3 people and injured 1 more. In just a few moments, he forever changed the lives of surviving victims and those he killed. He has to be held accountable, period. That simple. There is no excuse for anyone to reach this level of violence. I want to thank the Area 2 detectives, the fugitive apprehension team, and all those involved in this investigation who diligently gathered the evidence needed to bring charges in this case. I cannot stress enough the work that the Chicago Police Department is doing and our detective division doing to bring justice to these victims. This is another example of how our detectives, working with the State's Attorney's Office, and I'd like to thank the State's Attorney's Office and Kim Fox for their work with the Detective Division in bringing charges to this individual. This is another example of how our detectives and our department will never forget our victims. Following this shooting, our Family Liaison Office worked with those directly affected by this shooting. They referred them to resources. We know this type of trauma will affect these families forever. And we want to make sure that we provide resources that are available for these family members. We will continue to fight for those who have been victimized by violent crimes in our neighborhoods. We will continue to work for them, and we will continue to attempt to bring them justice. I will now turn it over to Chief Ursitti. She'll give you more details on the shooting and the charges.
Good afternoon. On February 25th, 6th District officers responded to a call of multiple people shot. Upon arrival, officers discovered 2 adults and 2 teenagers shot inside of a residence on the 8000 block of South Vincennes. 3 of the victims, ages 14, 20, and 36, all succumbed to their injuries. The surviving 16-year-old was in serious condition. Several other individuals were inside of the house at the time of the shooting, but were not injured. Detectives immediately initiated an investigation. As they gathered witness statements, they learned the offender was welcomed inside of the house as the acquaintance of a young man who was friends with the family who lived there. The offender produced a handgun after an altercation and shot all of the victims who were in the room. The offender then fled and was observed on video that detectives recovered, which assisted in identifying him. On Tuesday, the U.S. Marshals Great Lakes Regional Fugitive Task Force placed a 16-year-old offender into custody in Hazelcrest. Detectives presented the facts of the case to the Cook County State's Attorney's Office, and charges were approved yesterday for 3 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempt first-degree murder. I want to thank Area 2 detectives, the Area 2 Area Technology Center, the U.S. Marshals Great Lakes Regional Fugitive Task Force, for the tireless efforts put forth to gather the necessary evidence to obtain charges and to locate the offender. Earlier, the superintendent mentioned the importance of holding this offender accountable. The work these officers and detectives do every day is about holding violent individuals to account for their actions and ensuring families and communities do not have to endure tragedies like this one again in the future. I would now like to introduce Cook County State's Attorney, Kim Fox.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you all for joining us today. I stand here with Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling, Chief of Detectives Antoinette Ursetti, and Alderman Will Hall, again, united in sorrow for yet another tragedy that has rocked our community. We are here to announce the filing of charges in what can only be described as a heart-wrenching case that has not only claimed the lives of 3 individuals, but has also irrevocably changed the lives of another. A tragedy unfolded among friends within what should have been the safe confines of a home, and today a 16-year-old boy will be charged as an adult on 3 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted first-degree murder. 4 lives have been changed. The victims who have been taken from their families, and now this young person who now faces the grave consequences and the accountability for his actions. To the families of the victims, I offer my deepest condolences. Your pain is unimaginable, and no words can truly comfort the loss that you bear. Please know that we at the State's Attorney's Office are committed to seeking justice for your loved ones and with the utmost diligence and respect to you and your family. To the family of the accused, I recognize the immense pain you must be experiencing. Your lives, too, have been forever changed and altered by this tragedy of what should have been a young boy who acted as though a man and will suffer the consequences as an adult. Our commitment to justice is unwavering, but justice alone cannot heal the deep-seated issues that contribute to these tragic outcomes. This tragedy reminds us of our painful reminder of our collective responsibility to nurture an environment where our young people are supported and guided towards making positive choices, and that they will be held accountable when they do otherwise. It requires a concerted effort from all community sectors: law enforcement, schools, community organizations, faith-based groups, families, and individuals to create meaningful change. It is about building a community where everyone feels valued, understood, empowered to achieve their potential without resorting to violence. We must not condone violence. This case underscores a tragic loss for our community, the loss of young lives, and the stark reality of a young person, 16 years old, facing the consequences of his grave choices and decisions, and ultimately his violent actions. Let this be a call to action for all of us to deepen our commitment to preventing violence, supporting our youth, and building a community where such tragedies are no longer a regular reality for the people of Chicago. With that, I turn it over to 6th Ward Alderman William Hall.
Thank you. Thank you to Superintendent Snelling, Chief of Detectives, and last but not least, Commander Tate in the 6th District for serving, protecting, and also our state's attorney for bringing us justice. I just want to say this briefly. Until we get to the day where we build communities, we won't save lives. Until we build schools, parks where kids can go, we will continue to lose lives, whether it's by a gun or by a jail cell. So the question now becomes, how can we build together so that we can work alongside our police, work alongside our state's attorney to save lives? We have to build, we have to save, unless we're going to continue to have press conferences talking about loss. And so I'm calling everyone, before it gets hot, before the summertime comes, what block will you build on? What life are you going to serve and save so that we don't lose another child to a grave or a jail cell? Thank you. Now we will have our superintendent of police.
With that, I'll take any questions.
Angelica Sanchez with WGN. The motive behind the shooting, you say that the suspect was known to the family. Is there a motive for why he opened fire?
I'll turn that over to Chief First City.
Right now, what we're able to confirm is that there was an altercation before the shooting took place.
Hi, Sophie Sherry with the Sun-Times. I know police initially said they were looking for 2 attackers. Is that no longer the case here? Do we believe this individual acted independently, or is there still an additional shooter out there?
Well, right now, there's still a person of interest, and the detective division is looking into that. They're following up.
Trey Ward with ABC 7. I just want to piggyback. A person of interest not in custody that you guys are still looking for?
No, we're just following up on the information that we have right now.
So there's
So the person is not in custody at this time, but there is a person of interest.
my question for State's Attorney from Fox. You guys have mentioned the word accountability. Can you explain what does that look like in this case for this suspect who's facing 3 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder? What does accountability look like?
Well, this is a start. The first is to be charged with the crime. He is being charged as an adult. Ultimately, at the moment, he is innocent until proven guilty. Accountability is trying this case before the trier of fact, whether that's a judge or a jury, and having a verdict rendered. If a verdict of guilt is rendered, he will face the consequences that one faces when they are convicted of first-degree murder. That's what accountability looks like.
Hi, good morning. Charlotte
Good morning.
CBS Channel 2. Can you give a little more details how you were able to track down the suspect in Hazel Crest?
As we mentioned, our detectives immediately responded out to the scene. They interviewed witnesses. They collected video. And then throughout the course of the investigation, as they were able to confirm an identity, they were able to locate the 16-year-old offender in Hazel Crest, where we believe he was at the residence of a relative.
Brandon with WVBN News Radio. Just to kind of follow up, what's the condition of the 16-year-old that was also shot and survived?
The condition of the survivor.
He was stable at the time, and as I think the message has been consistent, unfortunately, a large part of his recovery is going to be from the trauma of what he experienced and what he had to see that day.
Hi, Charlie Wojciechowski from Channel 5. First one, just to clarify, there was an altercation prior to the shooting. Did he go there with the intention of provoking an altercation and shooting these people, or was it just an argument that he got out of hand?
You know what, Charlie, if I may, there will be a detention hearing shortly. A proffer will be read, which will list the facts surrounding that day and give greater clarity to what happened that day.
Is that going to be 26th or June?
That will be, he's being tried as an adult, so that will be at 26 in California.
And a second question for you and for everyone else. We talk very often in these cases about reaching children like this before incidents like this happen, approaching the whole power of government. What could have been done in this case to reach out to the 16-year-old before an incident like this one happened? And what would you like to see happen in the future?
I want to be clear. I'm a parent of teenagers. I've got 2. I've got 2 who are now 20. There is no excuse for going into a home and shooting up 4 people. And what I will say to you is that as a community, as Alderman Hall has indicated, as the superintendent has communicated, we need to work together as a community to ensure that our young people have the resources that they need to live healthy, thriving lives. We also need to hold young people who go afoul of the law and engage in violent behavior like this accountable. It's a both and. And I would love to be able to say to you that there are things that we could do to prevent tragedies like this. And I think we should do everything that we can to do that. But I think in this instance, there was a choice that was made. A choice that was made to use a weapon and to snuff out the lives of 3 individuals. And there's accountability for that choice. As a parent, when my children go against the rules of our home, they must be held accountable. Without accountability, there is no responsibility for one's own behavior. So I just want to be clear. This young person is responsible for their own behavior. We as the adults who care for young people need to make sure we do everything that we can in our power to create environments for them where they have choices laid out before them that lead them to lead healthy, thriving lives. But ultimately, the choice in this instance was made by this person who's being charged.
I'd like to follow up with that and just say thank you to State's Attorney Fox for that statement. Couldn't be truer. We had a 16-year-old who decided to open fire on a house full of people, killing 3 of them. There are consequences that come with that. We talk about prevention. 16, 17 years old, if we're trying to reach out at that point, sometimes, and most oftentimes, it's late. We've got to reach out younger. We have to have programs for our youth. And when I say our youth, I'm talking about very young children so that they don't engage in this type of lifestyle. These are choices that individuals are making. And I understand poverty. I grew up in it. But I also understood that there were choices that I would make that would alter my life if I engaged in those types of activities. There's right and there's wrong. There are things that are universally wrong. We know what those things are. And when you make a choice to engage in that type of behavior, you need and have to be held accountable. And that's what we're going to make sure that we do. We hold these people accountable. If we don't hold these young people accountable when they're committing violent crimes, 1 or 2 things are going to happen. They're going to continue to commit those violent crimes and eventually become a statistic themselves as a victim of violent crime, or they'll end up in prison. So at some point, when we know that we have someone who has acted violently, we need to hold them accountable the first time and not allow them to become repeat offenders and not allow them to believe that they can continue with this type of behavior with no responsibility, no accountability. So I say this as law enforcement and also as a person who grew up under the similar conditions as most of these young people. There are choices that you make. And when you make those choices, you live with the circumstances behind them. Now, I'd also like to say when I'm standing here with, and I am proud to stand here with my team, the Detective Division, with Alderman Hall, State's Attorney Fox, knowing that we brought some level of justice to the family by taking in this 16-year-old. Now, we call that justice, but think about it. We've lost 3 lives. We have to find some way to start preventing that. But right now, just know that if you're acting violently in this city, Chicago Police Department is not, we're not going to sit on our hands. We are going to reach out in every way that we can to make sure that we keep this city safe. I want everybody to understand one thing. These detectives and the Chicago Police Department did the work that they did because they actually care. They cared about bringing this person into custody so that they could not go out, reoffend, hurt, or kill someone else. They got to see the carnage. They see this every single day. These people actually care. And for far too long, the narrative has been that the men and women of the Chicago Police Department doesn't care about people in these communities. You look at this diverse team up here, they care about those people in the communities, all communities across this city, and they're working equally hard no matter where they are in this city, and they'll continue to do so. So with that, just understand the Chicago Police Department is here to work, and I'd like to thank State's Attorney Fox for her partnership in this, and Alderman Will Hall for standing here with us. Thank you.